Okay, now we're going to talk about probability. And probability fits under the data handling section. In this section, we're going to talk about the terminology. We're going to talk about relative frequency before lastly doing some examples. So after this video, we're going to fill in a formula in these two blocks here, or not a formula, some description. Probability is a measure in percentage of how likely something is to happen. What is the probability of an event happening? For example, what is the probability of me flipping a coin and it lands on a heads? Right, so you know that I have a 1 in 2 chance of it landing on a heads. It could either be on the heads or on the tails. So heads we're going to denote as H and tails as T. They each have a 50% chance. So the probability or the likelihood of this happening is 50%. So the probability of me flipping a coin and it landing on the heads is 50%. Let's look at this example. It's a bit of a silly one, but if today is Tuesday, what is the probability of tomorrow being a Wednesday? What is the probability of it being a Thursday? If today is a Tuesday, it is 100% going to be Wednesday tomorrow. But if today is Tuesday, there is 0% it can be Thursday tomorrow. So it's a silly example, but what I want to show you here is probability goes from 0% to 100%. Where 0% is no, there's no chance that after Tuesday comes Thursday. 100% is there's 100% chance, there is of full certainty that the day after Tuesday is Wednesday. Most probability will be somewhere between 0 and 1 or 0 to 100%. You know that 0% is 0 and 100% is 1. So let's look at this example. What is the probability of a dice landing on the number 3? It could either land on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are no other options. So the probability or likelihood of this happening is 1/6. So the probability of the dice landing on 3 is exactly 1/6, which is 16.67% if you were to put that in your calculator. The probability of the dice landing on 1 is exactly the same. The probability of the dice landing on 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 will all be 1/6 of a chance. Let's have a look at this example. What is the probability of the dice landing on 3 or 6? Now, instead of 1/6 of a chance, there are two possible outcomes. We will either accept 3 or 6 as a possible outcome. So there is now a 2 out of 6 chance of this happening. So of the dice either landing on a 3 or a 6, there's a 2/6 of a chance happening, which you know is the same as a 1/3 or 33%. Right? On a note, we're going to denote probability with a P. And then the bracket is the probability of 3 for the dice. So what did we say that was? That was 1/6. Or we're going to say P for it landing on a 1. So we read this as the probability of it landing on a 1. We know that's also 1/6. And just another example, what is the probability of it landing on a 7? There is 0 chance of that. So just a refresher, probability is a measure in percentage of how likely something is to happen. So another thing you need to know is probability is just a guide. If we flip the coin 100 times, we should get 50 heads, 50 tails. But in reality, we might get 48 and 52. That could happen. So probability is just a guide. Now we're going to look at these 4 terms that are so important to know with probability. An experiment or trial is an action where the result is uncertain. So me flipping a coin into the air is an experiment because I don't know whether it's going to land on the head or the tail. A sample space is a list of all the possible outcomes. So if I were to flip a coin in the air, it could either land on the head or the tail. There are 2 possible outcomes. If I were to roll a dice, there are 6 possible outcomes. There could be 6 in the sample space. An event is a single result of an experiment. So we have an experiment, I roll the dice. The sample space is 1 to 6. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. The event is the actual result I received, and on this time I rolled, for example, a 3, and that would be the event. A sample point is a single, often desired outcome. For example, the result of 3. Let's have a look at an example to better understand this. How many times will I throw a double when throwing 2 dice? Right, so that's my question. How many times will I throw a double when throwing 2 dice? Each time I throw it, it is an experiment, right? Because the result is uncertain. The result is called an event. So each time I throw the 2 dice together, it's an experiment. And the result of the 2 dice is an event. There are 6 desired event outcomes, right? Event outcomes. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and 6, 6. These are called our sample points. So the sample points are the desired points. There are 36 possible event outcomes. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, all the way up to 3, 3, 3, 4, 6, 4, all the way up to there's 36 of them. And this is called our sample space, the total amount of outcomes. We're going to look at a proper example of how to actually do a question very similar to this in our examples section or examples video. So just to refresh, probability is a measure in percentage of how likely something is to happen. It goes from 0% likelihood to 100% and 0 to 1. It can never be more than 100 and it can never be less than 0%. An experiment is an action where the result is uncertain, like throwing a dice or flipping a coin, or measuring what color car comes past your window. An event is a single result of an experiment. So that could be the heads or the tails, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of a dice, or green if we were looking for a green car. And the sample point is a single outcome, often desired, the outcome that you're looking for. So this would be rolling 2 doubles or getting ahead when you flick the coin. Next, we're going to deal with relative frequency and what that means.